Peace and love. What's up, YouTube? It's Naeem. Just wanted to make a little video here on seeing without the eyes. Um, how is this possible? How can a remote viewer or anyone, for that matter of fact, see something without their eyes? Now we all know that we have, the mind's eye, your imagination, when you can visualize things in your mind. Um, it it may be that we've taken this imagination thing for granted, and it may be that it's capable of much more than what we could have ever imagined. Belief systems are what limit us uh, in our every day-to-day functioning. Um, Belief systems keep us within the boundaries of certain ideas and concepts, and it makes certain things impossible and certain things probable. Um, if you've ever had a belief system shattered, you know how difficult it can be. There's a time period of chaos and readjustment and even sometimes anger that goes along with that. But I just wanted to make this video to show some of the things that are happening now in regards to, ESP, anomalous cognition, remote viewing, and consciousness in general. So this is about seeing without the eyes, and I'm going to tie it into remote viewing at the end. But there's a documentary that you should watch, and I'm going to show you a little clip here. Um, it's it's on Tom Campbell. Tom Campbell has reposted this video. Tom Campbell wrote a book called My Big Toe, My Big Theory of Everything. Um, I actually have it here. I got it here, the trilogy. I haven't finished reading it yet, but it's pretty interesting so far. He's coming at explaining reality from kind of like a information simulation, virtual reality standpoint. Um, but that aside, he reposted this documentary. Um, and I'll play a clip here, a little bit of it here, but it's basically about there's a some people in, I believe it's in Germany, um, where there are children who are being taught how to see without their eyes. They wear these blindfolds and they're doing things like driving go karts and playing air hockey and all these kinds of things. So in this documentary, they interview them and ask them questions and it shows some clips. So I'm just gonna play a little clip here so you can get an idea for it. I'll put the link in the description as well. So here's a little clip about from the documentary Seeing Without Eyes. Okay, so that's a little clip there from the documentary. So these kids are wearing masks that don't allow any light to come in through their eyes, and they're eventually able to, at different capabilities and uh, able to see and perform tasks. So the interviews with the kids are really interesting, the things they say and how they describe their experience. The reason I brought that up is because when it comes to remote viewing visuals, there's an important person that was studied in order to figure out exactly how visuals are obtained accurately and clearly. And this person's name was Richard Ireland. So he has a book called The Phoenix Oracle. It's a very rare book. It's hard to find. I don't have a copy of it. I'm trying to find a copy of it. But I got a video clip here of Richard Ireland. Now, this is on YouTube, so I'll also include a link in the description for this. But here's Richard Ireland on the Richie Allen Show, which is kind of like a talk show. And he blindfolds himself, and people in the audience write questions to him and put them in envelopes, and he has the blindfold on, and he's able to not only read the questions without seeing them, but he gives answers and kind of like tells their fortune, kind of like in a classical psychic would. But he's doing this all blindfolded the whole time. This guy was incredible. He's the real deal. And the government and the U.S. military, they studied this guy. The Navy studied this guy, and they figured out how to kind of reverse engineer how he does what he does. And he had a incident happen to him when he was young, which I believe he had to get surgery on his eyes, or had to get his eyes covered up for a certain period of time. And he realized that he could still see, and he could play soccer and do sports, just like the kids in the video I just showed you earlier. So I thought that was interesting that kids are being taught how to do this now. But so here's a clip of Richard Ireland putting on the blindfold on the Richie Allen Show. So check this out.
You will recognize when you hear your own questions referred to, and as you'll see now, Dr. Ireland has begun the, perhaps we could even get a closer shot here on that activity, the task of covering up all the area around his eyes with surgical tape, which has the, for whatever the point is worth, the Johnson & Johnson label inside the little roll here. And
would you like to verify? I cannot see, Steve. Under, around?
Yes, that's absolutely clear. Again, let me, could you get an even closer shot? Because I think around the country people think, oh, he's peeking someplace. No, this is all covered, and it's right down here tight against the nose, so there's obviously no chance for light to get through there.
And will you tie me some bow knots back there?
All right. And this is a real thick blindfold. We checked these, too. The three of them, as a matter of fact.
It's amazing that even after I've put all this on, that certain skeptics who simply won't be convinced are inclined not to believe even then.
Huh. Well, I'm generally skeptical about such things, but you sure covered me the other night.
That's in case anyone thinks the holes are all lined up. Or that if, in fact, I might be peeking, and if the papers could be brought up here now, we'll get involved with those in just a moment.
Marty, if you... Oh, they're already here.
The other day I was accused of peeking out of here, Steve.
Yes, people actually have developed... They'll make up any theory to avoid thinking that...
Really, a lady told me that she thought I'd had a hole bored between my eyes and my nose and I could see out of my nostrils. That's the truth.
Yeah. So now, as you can see, there's the tape completely under Dr. Ireland's...
So you can see there, that's... Richard Ireland putting on the blindfold right before he goes and starts his performance there, and you can check the link in the description to actually see all the things he says. But I wanted to play this other clip. This is at the end of the show, where he's talking about what he experiences in his mind's eye, how this works. All right, and then I'm going to kind of tie it back to the remote viewing after. So check out this clip. Richard Ireland being interviewed at the Richie Allen Show.
I know the audience will be interested in the answer you gave me. What he did would be remarkable even if he could see it, or even if he was not blindfolded. If you ask me questions, all I can give you is jokes. I can't tell you, about your babies or your jobs or your whatever in the future, yet he does that. So he's doing a number of remarkable things simultaneously. But I said to him, there must be a sense in which you see these things written, or you see that somebody gave you a green fountain pen or whatever, And I said, do you see it just as if you were not blindfolded? And then what was your answer?
Well, I said not really, because it's a certain sensory sight, and I'd like, if I have time, to state it in two ways. If I touch a piece of paper or I touch a bill, and if I want to know what's on it, then it sort of passes behind, as my forehead were a screen, a movie screen, it sort of passes in black and white, strangely, and the black is white and the white is black, like a negative, and I can see what's on it. However, it's more like seeing, if I'm moving about, actually walking around, it's like a dream that is so very real that it is real. And it's similar, I would say, to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Richard Ireland saying that the images usually pass black and white like a negative behind his mind's eye. And it has a lot to do with his intention, whether he wants to see what it is or not. He also said that there's times when he's moving around where it could be like a dream that's so real that it just looks like he's seeing with his normal eyes. And it's interesting because in that documentary with the kids, there's some of them that say that as well, that it's like a super vivid dream and they could just see clearly. So in remote viewing, like I said, they studied this man to find out how do you do that, right? How can you see with your eyes closed? And they figured out how to reverse engineer that and apply it in a remote viewing methodology. And so when it comes to remote viewing, here's some screenshots from a session that I posted recently. The target was a rocket launch, 4 rockets being launched in North Korea, some kind of test launch. And you can see here that in the top left, I'm closing my eyes and I'm gaining that visual. And this is the same mechanism at work with the children and that Richard Ireland is speaking of. And you can see in the second image, in the middle, top middle, I've drawn 4 lines, and I drew it a couple times, and I mentioned that these are something in the air. And you can see on the top right image, this is from the video of the event, you can see the 4 missiles in the air. So you can see that the visual captures through this alternate mechanism for visuals is capable of delivering the goods. Bottom left, you can see you can watch this video on my channel. I'll put the link in the description. I've captured a good shape and form of the rocket with the smoke and the clouds. And then a bit later in the session, I attained a more clear, vivid image that was more like, that dream state that Richard Ireland was speaking of. The early images are just like negatives, black and white, fuzzy images that are hard to make out. Whereas this image in the middle, bottom middle, and if you watch the video, you can see this happen, how it comes together. This was a much more vivid image to me. And then on the right here, you can see the rockets lined up there. So hopefully this is a little interesting video for you guys. Just wanted to share that, you gotta kind of expand your beliefs here. You gotta, you can't just be listening to what your government propaganda and indoctrination schools teach you all the time. You gotta read a bit, watch a bit, stay open-minded. This is a remote viewing. This whole subject is all about self-discovery. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hope this was interesting. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and give it a try, seeing without the eyes. Peace and love, y'all.